dusting. Yeah, that worked. Jeez. So over this whole. Sorry about that. I'm so over this whole Microsoft crap. Oh, I'm gonna turn the gain all the way up higher. Sorry, guys. Just because, okay? I hear microphone going. All right. Drink a tea. I had to make it really quick. I'll blame it on Jose because he's over here helping me. Hey, Wooder, where'd you go? What? Wooder's there. Oh, no, we lost Czechoslovakia. What? All right. Let me start. Let's see, we got good sound? Barely. Jeez. God, I got to get this microphone in my face just to get this stupid thing to register. All right. I'll hold the microphone. It's okay. There's no air conditioner. So the buzz is probably the air cleaner behind me. All right, here we go. Make sure my record button is working. How about that? It's working. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Stephen D. Kelly, and this is the Stephen D. Kelly Show, and it is now 6:01. See all that screwing around? It was only 6:01. My time, of course. You have a lag. What is this? October 2nd? I guess so, because isn't that October 7th, the great day of infamy coming up that we should all be excited about? Or, I'm sorry, offended over? Or something like that? Patriotic? I don't know. Oh, I know. Generous. We're supposed to give a lot of money because of what happened October 7th. Anyways, it's October 2nd, so I guess the build-up to that is certainly coming. That's sort of what we're going to be talking about, but obviously I'm winging it. I mean, I'm so over having to talk about Trump and the juice boxes and, you know, the being antiseptic and, you know, the TikToks and what have you. I guess I'm going to talk a little bit about Larry Ellison since he took over TikTok, and now just typing the word JEW is enough to get you warned that you're using hate speech, I guess. And what is it? Oh yeah, the latest thing. There's an emoji, and it looks like a little cartoon juice box. And if you know what a juice box is, it's a little paper-covered foil, folded, sealed up box that they put apple juice or some stupid thing in, and you stick a straw in it. You give it to a kid. They call it a juice box. Well, apparently, using that emoji, that little thingy, you know, it's like a smiley face, only it's a juice box, is now verboten because it's being used as a, you know, emoji to represent Jews, the Jews. And remember, you can't do that because that's hateful. You know, before I go too far, somebody made a comment. I'm not sure if this was Richard Nixon or somebody more common or more recent, but they made this comment about how Israel has zero resources, unless you want to say sand from the Dead Sea or salt or, you know, olive oil from stolen olives trees and stuff. There's or hell, Intel, you know, technology, all that. Bottom line is they don't have oil. They don't have steel. They don't have timber. They don't have, what do they call those things? Rare earth, all that stuff. They have none of that. Nothing at all. Itty bitty little tiny strip of something. And yet, you know what? 1/4 of all the THAAD missiles, 25% of all of the most sophisticated high altitude air defense system interceptor missiles that the United States has in complete inventory worldwide, 25% of that is in Israel. Now, when you remember how tiny Israel is, just try to envision that compared to the land mass of the United States and all the other assets the United States has scattered all over the world. That little itty-bitty little strip of nothing has 25% of our most sophisticated defensive anti-ballistic missile defenses system. Just a little fact. Anyway, okay, before I get into all this stuff, complaining about, Larry Ellison, TikTok, and what have you, I'm going to get a little closer to my microphone and lean down. Who knows? Oh, I'll even have some more tea. I feel like I need to take a bong hit or something to prepare for this. But all right, anyway, here's the thing. This malaise, and I'll call it a malaise, and I'll tell you something. This malaise is very similar to what happened after John F. K., or the president. Jack Kennedy was, I think that's the right guy. You get these guys mixed up. There's so many K's now. JFK, the original. When he was shot, the country fell into malaise. This happens. It's kind of like, take your pick. There's lots of, obviously celebrities. I remember when John Lennon died, certainly there was a certain malaise. When Ozzy died here recently, there was a certain malaise. This stuff happens. Hulk Hogan dies, there's a certain malaise. But some figures are significant, and obviously the impact of Charlie Kirk, even however how you feel about his organization and what he did in his life up to the point before he died, or just before he died, because apparently that's what's really important, is irrelevant, because what happened is enough to be upset. It's like 9/11. Obviously, on 9/11, when the juice boxes, or what was it? I don't care what you want to call them. Call them. You know what you can call them? You can use, if you don't want to use the juice boxes, just use the what is it? The eggplant emoji. I think that stands for dick. So maybe that when the eggplants basically nuked the trade towers on 9/11 and blamed it on the Arabs, there was a malaise. Certainly, it caused a depression in the country, and it took a little while for people to get over the sadness. And certainly, I myself can tell you that I've been working really hard to shake that, and even with the efforts I've made so far, it seems like, wow, is this the best I can do? But here's the thing. I believe, what is that? Tick tick. Is that you, Jose? Yeah, Jose's probably passed out over there. Anyway, I've learned some hard lessons, and I want to share these hard lessons. Even if I don't do anything else in the show tonight, I want to do my best to try to share these lessons that I kind of had to observe. Okay, and what I had to observe basically involves humans, human character, human actions, what humans do when given certain situations, and Satan, the nature of Satan, and how Satan might try to interact with humans and try to influence and cause people to do things that they might not normally do, or offer opportunities that they might not have at their, normally be available. Could be something they want really bad, but something they've been longing for, and who knows, might come up. But when it does, you got to wonder at what expense, what cost. And then there's the God, what God wants. And that, of course, is obviously what's the most important. And we like to say, like, God works in mysterious ways. And sometimes God might use Satan as a tool to either test you or to influence your path for whatever reason. But ultimately, I think that if I had to explain this, and I had to try to put it out in a proper way, I would say that humans learn the hard way. They don't want to face reality. They don't let it sink in. They have a certain level of denial and other human characteristics that I don't need to go into, just to be, nice. But the point is that sometimes a danger, a ultimatum, a finality could be in front of their face, such as dealing with sinful nature, committing sins, the actions or reactions to actions, and being in denial about those things, or not expecting it, or just being oblivious to the whole process. Well, what I realized is that there is that interaction. I mean, certainly Satan is involved, and if I had to try to describe the mechanics of that involvement, I would say that when you desire something, when you covet something, when you're willing to compromise, the opportunity will be presented to you. Assuming, of course, that you are a valuable enough target to where compromising you is something that Satan would waste time doing. We're not going to assume that all of us are as tempting as targets as others. Obviously, it's all about collecting loosh, and I like to think that my loosh is, they put that in gold bottles or some shit. I don't know. They probably fight over it. But the point is that ultimately God's in control. And I think that when you forget that and you sin, you betray God who loves you. You could say the Lord Jesus. In this case, we're talking about Jesus and is representing God here. We're not talking about the Holy Spirit. That's a whole other thing we're going to talk about. But the point is that emotionally speaking, when you do these failures, and that's what they are, your sins are failures. They're just, you fell short. You didn't do the thing correctly. You went in another direction. I guess that's putting it really lightly, but the point is that you broke his heart. Okay? You're talking about an entity, the entity that created you, that loves you more than anything, more than the angels, more than the rest of creation. And yet, you knew better and you did this thing. And of course, this is comes with results. You can't expect to be able to do something like that without repercussions. And so, in other words, just because you had to pay a price for your failure doesn't mean that God doesn't love you. That doesn't change. It can never possibly change. There's no possible way that God cannot love creation, could ever hate a part of that creation. This is a very important concept, but by the same token, as humans and as, lesser, well, I don't want to say gods, but certainly we have God's power, and God has granted us this because we are certainly made in his image. We are God's children for sure. No different than Jesus. We are all God's children. But we are punished. We are allowed to be punished, and we are allowed to learn lessons. Just like going into the lake of fire, you do come out clean on the other side. You're not thrown into the lake of fire because you're hated. You're thrown into the lake of fire because you need to be cleansed. You need to come out clean on the other side and assume the role that you were meant to assume. And I think that's really important. This is a kind of a tough concept to comprehend, I think, for most people. They think of a vengeful God and all that, but I think that if we look at we look at our society today, we look at what's going on with Israel and the genocide that's going on over there, and the Satanism, and Iran, what is it, Ukraine, and just all that evil stuff, and Donald Trump, and the horrible crap that he's doing. I mean, come on, the pedophilia, seriously, pedophilia. Remind me to tell you about what Ted Cruz said about pedophiles, okay? Don't let me forget. Anyway, all right, I'll just say it right away. He said we need to stop attacking pedophiles. Seriously, he said we need to stop attacking uh, poor people. We need to stop attacking the whatever special group. And they said we need to stop attacking pedophiles. Seriously, he said that. I don't think he misspoke. I think he actually meant to say that. The rehabilitation, the official Republican GOP rehabilitation of the pedophiles has more than just begun. I mean, how look at Lindsey Graham, right? Or how look at Donald Trump. Or... Anyway, a bong, yes, a bong. I know they don't have those over there, do they? What was I saying? Oh, yes. So this is all very depressing, of course, but again, the lesson here when it comes to our ability to fail or not fail in the eyes of the Lord, to displease and to essentially go into a situation that is very unpleasant and undesirable, even though we have the power and the tools and the knowledge to not have to go there, but because we're, lazy, unmotivated, or busy doing something else because our priorities are not in the right place, we don't give it the right priority. We don't take it serious. We don't think about the terrible thing that's going to happen and the clock that's ticking. Kind of like the big clock that's ticking over our heads right now with Donald Trump and his finger over the red button and, the games he's playing with Putin. We're really unsafe right now. But anyway, again, if you know better and you're not doing anything, it's on you. If you know you have a deadline, if you know that you better get off your ass and take certain actions and change your priorities and stop doing whatever it is that you think is important and focus on the thing that is important. If you haven't figured that out, then you're going to basically, you can't say that anyone's responsible for not warning you when the shit hits the fan. So, worldly matters. Are we ready to go to worldly matters? Have you got the message here with God's love and the ability for you to still sustain huge punishment? And it doesn't mean that God doesn't love you, and God is ready to welcome you back into his arms, but you need to learn your lessons. Humans all need to learn those lessons. You're still greedy, selfish, not humble, and your priorities are all fucked up. That's right, I said all fucked up. And I could go on a big long list of discrepancies and failures, but the point is that no matter what you do, God loves you, and even though you're going to get punished and possibly even tossed in the lake of fire for what you did, God still loves you and is waiting for you on the other side. Remember that. God didn't do that to you. You did it. That's the bottom line thing you got to remember. Okay? Now, if that means that you need to stop doing some bullshit thing and put more effort into our mission, because, guess what? It's going to be like our chances to do anything here real soon are almost over. But hey, if you haven't figured that out, again, that's a failure. Okay? We all get judged for this stuff. So, time is short. Well, let's see. Time is short. Okay, I promised myself tonight that before I got into everything, I would reach out to you because, first of all, as I said, things are very fucked up. I'm on plastic, and I know that with what's going down, I'm a moment away from them not putting any more money into it, and I'm pretty concerned. And I've been under a lot of attack, and it's not just let's just say my war chest is in a very bad shape, and pretty soon it's going to be really, really bad for everybody. So the bottom line is, yeah, there's no graceful way to say this. I'm asking you guys to send me some money to the PayPal. Basically, that's what I'm asking. And I know. Let's see. Somebody sent me Corinne. Yes, Corinne. She sent me $25 cash pay. Corinne, wrapped in foil. Gotta love it, Corinne. Thank you, Corinne. But yeah, it's nice. You know, it really is. But at the same time, these is it's kind of scary. Okay, guys, it really is. And I know it's going to get very bad very soon. And I know they're going to zero in on me and this whole social credit score. And you can't say this and you can't say that. It's going to get rough. That's all I can say. So if you can help me out again before I go any further, the PayPal is Stephen Kelly 714 at yahoo.com. Okay, I apologize. And you got to say friend or family, please, because it's a donation. All right, that's the only way you can exchange money. That reminds me, did you hear there is a payment system in Brazil called Fix or something like that? It's very similar to PayPal where people can send money back and forth without any kind of, you know, usury, juice box stuff going on. And people over there love it. It's a large part of their economy is using this system, this payment system. It's very much similar. They use it on their phone, of course. It's on your phone, which I won't do, but there's no transaction fees. Amazingly enough, right? So, of course, the United States basically said, "You shut that down, or we're going to go to war. We're going to do embargoes and whatever BS, 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 BS. You know, Donald Trump stuff, BS, BS." So let's go into the bigger picture here just for a minute. And if you forgot that Trump's a pedophile, I know you probably haven't, and you haven't forgotten about Jeffrey Epstein, and you haven't forgotten about all those child victims and all this, you know, genocide going on in Israel, and the fact that Larry Ellison took over TikTok, all these things we want to talk about. But the point is that they're going to start two wars almost any day now. Seriously, almost any day now. They're preparing for this stuff hardcore. They're flying all the assets in place, but they're already basically admitted that they're at war with Russia. And I want to talk about these new missiles that Donald Trump just green-lighted to Zelensky. This is quite a story in itself, but they're not Tomahawks, but they do travel, 200 miles and carry up to a 100-pound warhead, explosive, which is, a lot less than the 1,000-pound explosive in a Tomahawk missile. And Tomahawk missile, of course, goes 1,000 miles, which, of course, Putin said if we do that, it's World War III. But so instead, they went with these much cheaper missiles. What do they call them? I can't remember now. But point is that these missiles are a lot cheaper. They're made by another company, not your average MIC company, but they're like 1/10 of the cost of a Tomahawk missile, 1/10 of the payload, and they take 1/2 of the time to build. Wait a minute, hold on. Shouldn't it be 1/10 of the time to build? Anyway, supposedly those are supposed to be some really good numbers when it comes to missiles, and the actual price of one of these missiles is something like $200,000. So that's American for cheap. Seriously. Russians are making drones that cost quite a bit less, go quite a bit further, and have a quite a bit larger payload, and are harder to intercept. And this is what we get. But anyway, that's what's coming. Point is, he's going to start a war in Venezuela. And a lot of people want to argue if the Venezuela war is going to come first. And some people say it's just a done deal. And usually these things are a done deal when it becomes obvious. I mean, when I was in the business, of course, I could see the movement of things, and people would come in and tell me what was up. But the other big war, of course, which I'm kind of inclined to think may actually start sooner because, it has more of an interest to Israel, and that is Iran. The United States is getting ready to go back into Iran, and they've been placing the assets. Now, remember, Qatar had that bombing recently where, Israel bombed it twice, and it looked really bad for the United States. So the United States just got through making this big deal with Qatar that they were going to give it some sort of a newfound security thing, whatever. Just days ago, they signed this treaty. And almost immediately, the United States started flying all this hardware, all this aircraft back into this base, that they got basically removed from the area prior to bombing it. Anyway, they're moving all those tankers and everything back into the base. And obviously, this is for war in Iran, just like the corridor they set up in Azerbaijan. Was it Azerbaijan? I think it was Armenia that gave it to Azerbaijan. But yeah, that's actually an American corridor to attack Iran from the north. But point is, they're screaming about taking out Iran's nuclear crap, supposedly again. And whether or not that's their motive is irrelevant, but it would appear very likely that because of the programming that everyone's gotten, you're like, oh gosh, that first time around didn't do enough. Those bombs didn't hardly do enough. Gosh, the job wasn't completed. We need to go back and finish the job. In order to do that, they have to use a nuclear weapon, which is really what they want to do, so that they can go into that area and make it, uninhabitable, dirty for a while. If they choose to use a dirty bomb and not one of the nice, brand new Israeli-made clean nuclear bombs like they used on the trade towers on 9/11 not too long ago. Anyway, gosh, is that me making that clicky noise? I don't know what that is. Sounds like I got a palindrome. Anyway, so obviously our economy cannot sustain this. And this whole concept of launching Tomahawks or some lesser version of a Tomahawk into Moscow, Russia, this is not good. And sooner or later, we're going to get targeted. Dude, open that door and see if that cat wants to come out. See if you're awake. But what's going to happen is that this is what they're trying to provoke. And certainly, if we get any kind of response here in our infrastructure or our energy supply, we're going to be feeling it really harshly. Now, as I reported here not too long ago, the Ukrainians have changed their strategy. I don't really want to call this an offensive because, trust me, they're losing territory every day and their troops are being slaughtered faster than they can be replaced. But at the same time, they've developed a more barbaric approach when it comes to their drones and their longer range missiles, whatever HIMARS, whatever that is that they have left. And so what they've done, at least, obviously they're going to try to their best to try to, neutralize Russian soldiers when they can with their little drones, but they're now flying those things into territory that is essentially civilian territory inside of Russia and attacking, children's birthday parties. They're looking for civilians to attack. Russians don't do this. Ukrainians do. Now, just to if you want to throw numbers around, I tried to come up with some numbers of civilians that were actually killed by Russia. I mean Ukrainian civilians that have died. Not like civilians in Gaza, babies who are considered Hamas terrorists. I mean, sure, 60,000 of them, never mind that. But in the however many years that this SMO operation has been going on over there, supposedly, first someone said it was like 14,000 civilians. Then I find out it's like way less than that, quite a bit less. And the reason for that, of course, is that when the Russians do attack anything, they don't just bomb buildings willy-nilly like we do in Gaza. Neighborhoods. Oh, there was a Hamas leader, better take out a high-rise. No, they don't do that. They don't do that. The Ukrainians, sure, they're using human shield. They're using human shield. They have, like, one of these towns that's circled, it's got, 2,500 civilians left. They're using them as human shields. And the Russians have to be very, very careful. And they see these guys moving around with the drones, and they'll take them out. But they're not taking out high rises. Okay? And they move very slow. That's why they do this. So, point is that they are civilized, unlike us. We're the ones that kill the civilians. We're the psychopaths. We're the ones that project and blame everybody for doing what we do, just like Joseph Goebbels said. Blame your enemy for that of which you are guilty. That's all they know how to do. It's just like hate speech, that's all they know how to do. Don't say Jew. Don't you dare say ADL. It's so bad. Let's talk about Larry Ellison here. Say it. Oh, you have bongs? Okay, great. I was just reading this thing right before the show, and I'm just gotta go through it here. It's on our page over there at Occupy the Gay / Stephen D. Kelly over there on Telegram. That's the only place to be in the whole worldwide right now. But we're starting to go up in a few members, but it's mostly Russian bots, either sex bots or crypto bots, whatever. But at least they're Russian and not Chinese. Anyway, all right. Now, here's the thing. Larry Ellison is kind of like, people don't know who this guy is. To me, Larry Ellison is sort of like a cross between, what's his face over there at Microsoft, Bill Gates, and that so-called dead pedophile software guy, McAfee. Okay, McAfee was kind of a crazy playboy, and the other guy was kind of a nerd. So if you take those two guys right in the middle of them, it would be Larry Ellison. Anyway, his company's Oracle. And Oracle, basically, their big thing, of course, is massive data storage and cloud storage. That's what they do. They're involved in all these. Well, let's see. They provide space, I'm sure, to networks. I don't know enough about this stuff. I'm not an IT person, but they've been doing this for a long time, and he just became the richest man in the world over Elon Musk because of the big, huge ass contract that he got to provide cloud services for Palantir. That big, huge ass contract that they got that made Peter Thiel so bloody fucking rich. But Larry Ellison's even richer. Anyway, he's the guy that took over TikTok. He's the guy, this great businessman that Trump said is going to make everything right, because we can't have those Chinese controlling our American way or whatever the hell it is, I mean, come on, it's all bullshit, of course. But anyway, before I go any further about Larry Ellison, I just want to remind you that since the day he took over and supposedly is reteaching the algorithm, as they like to say, just using the word Jew in TikTok in any format is going to get you a warning. Seriously. Any mention of APAC, any mention of ADL. Obviously, you can't say Occupy the Getty. I don't even try that. But bottom line, if you say anything about Israel whatsoever, because remember, this used to be a only free speech we had when it came to that stuff, you're screwed. Kind of like Facebook, only a lot worse. Instead of Zuckerman, you've got Ellison. Interestingly enough, both Larry Ellison and Zuckerberg own huge tracts of land on various islands in Hawaii and are building bunkers. It's well known that Larry Ellison is building a huge ass bunker. I don't know if it's Maui or what island he's on. I know people that live there, and they've been telling me about it for a while. You don't go anywhere near his property. Anyway, obviously, idiot Zuckerberg, he talks about that stuff. We know it's true. Larry Ellison just bought a fucking house on let's see, what was it? Malibu, someplace that didn't burn. 48 million. Has a oceanfront, beachfront tennis court. What? Come on, right? That's normal, right? Anyway, supposedly he's going to buy all the houses along this strip, and guess what? This house he bought was designed by the same man that designed the Getty Center. My ear. Gosh, what an interesting coincidence. You don't suppose it's got a, tunnel access? Gosh, richest man in the world? Nah, right? Come on. He, right? And you don't suppose maybe, I don't know, he's got sub access, off the coast of his little house there? Hey, right? Because he's got the damn same thing on an island out in the Pacific. I mean, my God, right? These guys got to get back and forth. I mean, even a low life like Josiane Maxwell had a submarine license, right? I mean, come on. This guy's a billionaire. Come on. You don't think a billionaire, multi-richest man in the world can't afford a fucking super yacht submarine? Or a bunker? Come on. Gordon Getty's a piker. He's got his bunker. He's only got 11 billion. How many billion has Ellison got? Or the other guys? They all get together? He's a super Jew. Remember that? He gives all his money to the ADL. He's the largest, number one donor ever to the ADL. Anyway, let's see. What is he doing here? Newly leaked messages show Oracle billionaire Ellison vetted Marco Rubio's loyalty to Israel in 2015, arranging meetings with Israeli diplomats and Tony Blair, who happens to be taking over the Gaza peace plan thing bullshit they're going to do? Yeah, another pedophile. Before Rubio emerged as a GOP star. So they had to vet him. Now, Ellison later poured millions into Rubio's campaign. Kind of like the Palantir guy putting millions into good old VPJD. What is it here? Let's see. And he's one of Israel's biggest U.S. backers and funder of the Tony Blair Institute with a $350 million and pledging to help develop the new Gaza with Trump. Hey, the richest man in the world is pledging to help Trump develop the new Gaza. Don't worry, I hear that they're going to turn it into a digital Bitcoin paradise, and all the poor displaced Gazans are going to get, Bitcoin. They're going to get sent to Somalia, but don't worry, they're going to get Bitcoin, or they get tokens for Bitcoin. I guess they can cash them in. Uh-oh, one of the cats is freaking out. Hey! Oh, yeah, open the door and lift the black cat. Trying to persuade him. Anyway, let's see. But they go on to say that Ellison's influence extends into U.S. media and tech. Well, obviously, shit, he just bought TikTok. His son David is acquiring CBS, CNN, Warner Brothers, and Paramount. While Oracle is set to audit. Oh, that sounds really simple and harmless, right? Audit TikTok's algorithm under Trump's deal. He's just going to audit it. Yeah, we're going to make sure no one ever says Jew again. With pro-Israel officials blaming TikTok for declining U.S. support in Israel. Oh, it's TikTok's fault. We got to fix that. Everybody hates Israel. It must be TikTok. Let's see. Bibi openly called for its acquisition. The most important purchase going on right now. Wow. This is not a small thing. I mean, we can talk about the fucking influencers that are going to be getting paid $7,000 per post. Yeah, they've become officially foreign agents. People are quitting their jobs so that they can pimp Israeli bullshit on the internet because they're influencers. But, foreign influencers. There was another little piece I wanted to share with you. Of course, I'm not going to be able to find it. I don't know where it was, but Gosh, I forgot what it was at this point, but either way, it had to do with something regarding Ellison. I don't know if it was his house or what. Either way, I'm, here's the thing. Like I said earlier, since Charlie died, I mean, you guys know me. I'm not doing this mission because I'm a happy boy. Okay, I'm not doing this mission because life is grand and I couldn't ask for anything more. Okay, I'm doing this mission because I want to end the satanic bastards that did this to me, that continue to get away with the satanic shit right in front of our faces that everybody's oblivious to, and I don't care how long it takes me. As soon as I figured out they couldn't kill me, what did you think I was going to do? What did you think I was going to do? They can't fucking kill me. So I'm going to kill them. And when I say kill them, I mean I'm going to destroy their world, and they know I'm going to do that. But the good news is that what comes after this is paradise. And if you aren't helping us get there, and if you are ignoring all this and just trying to be the best darn rabbit you can be, instead of, one of us, one of the people on the front line trying to, radically shift everything and burn down the world, if you will, you'll probably fall short in the eyes of God, even though you were warned. Okay? And that doesn't mean God doesn't love you, but I'm just telling you right now, you'd make things a lot easier for everybody if enough of you would see the light and realize that whatever it is that you're doing right now that you think is important, it's not important, because you are literally polishing the brass on the Titanic. Literally. You're talking about your future when you have no future, because these bastards that control your future are doing everything they can every day to destroy it by the second. And you're doing nothing but trying to scramble to get a little bit more for yourself. And that's all you can see. And if you don't chip in and become part of the group that's actually doing something and force the rest of the people to do something, you're not helping. And I'll leave you guys with one thing before I go here, and it's another parable, since this thing is all about parables, but it was something I got from Isabel, and it was a little cartoon, a segment from Finding Nemo, which is about a colorful little clownfish that gets separated from his daddy or whatever and gets lost, and his daddy has to search for him and find Nemo. But along the way, of course, Nemo meets this colorful blue parrotfish that's played by the lovable lesbian, what's her face? Anyway, no reference to the character, of course, right? Yeah. Anyway, Ellen DeGeneres, yes. Anyway, she plays the lovable lesbian blue fish, right? Anyway, but here's the thing: at the end of the movie, when they finally, Daddy finds Nemo, he's stuck in a net with a whole bunch of other fish, which I guess they call mudfish. They look, they're all dirty. I mean, brown, whatever. They no color. They're not colorful like the little orange and white and deep blue, Dory and whoever it was, Dory and Nemo. But Nemo's dad tells Nemo and Dory, he says, tell all those other fish, tell those mudfish, instead of swimming around like crazy in this net, to point downward and swim downward and break that damn net. So the three fish, just those three fish, communicated to the other fish, which was a big, huge mob of mudfish swimming around like crazies. They didn't know what was going on. They were all getting ready to die. And those three fish were able to give them the message, no, go in this direction. They said, okay. They did it, and they escaped. So there's lots of lessons there. Of course, Isabel tells me the main lesson here is that it just took those three fish to get all those lesser fish to do what needed to be done. Those colorful fish, the special fish, the ones that stood out, the ones that had the
thought, the ability to think, the ability to plan, the ability to come up with a solution. All they had to do was get those stupid fish to listen, even if they didn't understand what they were doing. If they just followed instructions, they could live. That's a hell of a parable. Okay? And I know there's a whole bunch of other messages that I found in there, you know, like, well, I guess I'm going to leave it at that because I can't even think about it right now. You see, I'm going to try to cue up my music here. Hang on a second. Turn down volume. Yeah. Whoops. Okay. What is this song? Pardon me, guys. At least I'm not getting sound coming out of here. Skip. Stop. Okay, good. All right. Anyway, pardon me. So I guess, just to kind of finish this thing up here, first of all, help me out, send me some money. I'm sorry. Do that. Okay. Wow, I've got so much weird noises coming from this system. But in spite of all the crap that's going on, and it's not going to get any better. Wow. Crazy. Trust me, people, it's not going to be. The only thing that's going to make it better is us. Seriously, that's the only thing. And if you don't listen to me, if you don't follow me, if you hear what I'm saying, but you're not responding, you're not swimming in the direction I'm trying to tell you to swim, whether you understand why you're doing it or not, if you don't do it and you don't do it quick, and you don't get everybody next to you and everybody in that damn net to do it quick, we're all fucked. And we're running out of time. And all I can do is tell you what to do. And if you don't fucking listen to me, there's nothing I can do. That's really the bottom line. So I need you guys to understand that even if you don't understand it, and even this does not coincide with your priorities or your mission or whatever it is that you want out of life, you need to understand that there is no future if you don't do this. And at the very least, when you're being judged and you have to answer for why you didn't do anything, when you knew what to do, you had the instructions in front of your face. It's just like in the Bible, there's all kinds of passages where God says to the sinner, you had the prophets. They told you what you needed to know. You ignored it. We're in the same situation. And we're all frogs in a pot of water, and the damn water is boiling pretty damn hard right now. And you don't have any fucking time, and you need to get with the program. Okay? I don't have enough energy to try to explain it to you. All the mudfish just need to swim in the direction that I point. That is